there is a game this weekend. It is a pretty big game this weekend. But, you know, Michigan has a chance to win. What does Michigan need to do to win this game, Angelique?
Well, I think they got to try to keep C.J. Stroud off the field and those receivers, Braylon. I mean, you know, playing the position, you know how to evaluate receivers, and I think even I can evaluate, not having played, that these are really good receivers, and it's a pick your poison kind of situation with this Ohio State offense. So, you know, I think you've got to have Hassan Haskins and you know, you would think Blake Corum playing and Donovan Edwards trying to keep that run game going. That's what's gotten Michigan to this point. And now you have a much more confident Cade McNamara, and he's got some nice pieces too. And one guy I keep thinking is critical. It's certainly Cornelius Johnson, but I just have a feeling about Andrell Anthony, and everybody saw what he did on that stage at Michigan State, and I have a feeling that he'll be a big part of this offense on Saturday. But you just can't get into a shootout with Ohio State, and you can't get behind quickly or big against this team.
I think Maz has something next, but it's funny that you say Andrell Anthony. My junior year, last time, well, I beat Ohio State, the only time we beat Ohio State when I was there. The game that we played Michigan State that year, I had 2 catches and over 100 yards. Andrell Anthony had 2 catches, over 100 yards against Michigan State at Michigan State, and then we ended up beating Ohio State at home. So, great call. I'm excited.
Hey, thank God, Angelique, that they didn't play last year. The spread probably would have been
70.
in upwards of 50, and they probably would have covered it. So let's not talk about last year. But to win 8 straight against your opponent, against your rival, 17 of 20, how did it ever get this bad?
Now, that is a great question. And, you know, I guess you can look to, I mean, and it started at the tail end of Lloyd Carr's tenure, so I don't want to say it was just the transitions to different coaches, to Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke, and because Brady had a win there. But you know, I really do look at what Ohio State's done in terms of recruiting and how they attack it. They've had great coaches. They've really had a nice string there of Jim Tressel to Urban Meyer and Ryan Day, and I know Luke Fickell was in there for a year, but hey, he's at my alma mater now and he's going to stay there, so let's not even talk about Luke Fickell. But
go Cincy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And you know, they just have built this machine, and they've been. Look at that transition from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. There's been no hiccup. In fact, you could argue that this is a better offense under Ryan Day than under Urban Meyer. So they've just recruited really well. They've got phenomenal facilities. They do a lot of things really well down there, and I think Michigan is certainly in a catch-up role. And it's been a long time. Obviously, Michigan fans are starved for a win over this team, and going to a Big Ten championship and having a chance to be relevant in the national conversation beyond just talk. You know, actually being there. And this is a good chance. I mean, it's going to be tough, but they have a good chance on Saturday.
We're talking to Angelique from the Detroit News. My name is Stick. First of all, nice to meet you, Angelique. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Are you related to Ryan Day? Are you related to Ryan?
No, but if I'm ever in Columbus, I'm flexing that card with my ID. I'm showing everybody. But outside of Columbus, I don't think it holds much value. So a question for you. As far as the scheme of how important this Michigan-Ohio State game is, you know, when I'm thinking back to the David Boston game, you know, I believe that was 97, when Michigan was #1 versus #2. That was about 10 years ago. How important is this specific game in the scheme of this rivalry?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, this is 2016 was big. 2018, that was a big game also. But this is, you know, we keep talking about, I know we spoke about this before the Michigan State game, how important that game was for Jim Harbaugh. This is huge for Jim Harbaugh. And I will reiterate, I think he's generated a lot of goodwill with Michigan fans. They got to 10 wins. No one thought they would get this far. So there is that. But Michigan fans are also restless. And this is not beating Ohio State is not just a Jim Harbaugh problem. This has gone back now for quite a while. So you can't put it all on him. But it is his 7th year, and you know, he came in 2015 with a lot of expectations, and he encouraged those expectations as well. And one of those expectations is beating Ohio State and playing for a Big Ten championship. And the stage is set now on Saturday, and they're definitely underdogs. Obviously, 8 points or maybe more and out at the stage, but this is huge for Jim Harbaugh, and it's huge for this senior class that's really desperate to leave their legacy.
Angelique, I wanted to ask you about James Franklin. He just signed a 10-year deal. It's going to be a little bit less than Mel Tucker was going to get, supposedly, if he does sign that contract. But Braylon brought up a great point. This guy has done things that Jim Harbaugh has not done. He's beaten Ohio State. He's won a Big Ten. He put he put Penn State back where they belong. What has Jim Harbaugh done wrong over the years?
Well, that's a legitimate question, and I don't know. I think it's this mentality of not being able to finish in November, not being able to finish games too. In the fourth quarter, I've seen a number of these teams fade in the fourth quarter under Jim Harbaugh, and I think that's why that Penn State game a couple weeks ago was encouraging. It was, he keeps saying this team doesn't flinch, and that was a perfect example of. They had the strip sack. They held him to a field goal, and Cade McNamara got in there very steely, and he went in and led a touchdown drive with Eric All. And that was, I think, if you're a Michigan fan, that was probably refreshing to see, because I think it was going to be a little bit more of a same old Wolverines feel here, and they pulled it out. And this does seem like a team that finishes. And can they finish against Ohio State? We'll find out. But I do think that's been lacking in the Harbaugh tenure. And it's surprising me because, he focuses on toughness all the time and just outworking everybody. And then they would just sort of fade in November and obviously in the bowl game. So that has to change if this is going to be a successful program.
That's a heck of a call, because you watch that Nebraska game and you see where they were able to come back in the end. Like in those moments with Harbaugh, you're like, here we go again. This is not a game that Harbaugh typically can finish and win in the fourth quarter, but he gets the win. But then he goes up to East Lansing, and you see that game escape him from the end of the second quarter to the third to the fourth. It escapes him, and you're like, oh, here we go again. But then to your point, he's finished the game after that too. So a little encouraging going into the Ohio State game.
I think so, and I think the one other thing too, Braylon, is this team also lacked some confidence in previous years. And I haven't been around a Michigan team in a while that has they're exuding so much confidence. And Cade McNamara, a guy who's taken a lot of arrows this season, knows that people want to see J.J. McCarthy out there. I thought he's handled that really well, and he just comes off as this supremely confident leader. And you need that on offense. You need your quarterback to feel that way. And if, I got this. And, you've got him on that side. You've got Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive side. And you got guys like Dax Hill, too. Maybe not as boisterous and loud as Aiden Hutchinson, but a really good leader. And Brad Hawkins as well back there. So, they're confident. And that's all you can ask for from a team going into an Ohio State game where they're going to be substantial underdogs.
Angelique, I want to ask you about that Eric All play that we played against Penn State. He said they worked 3 years. They practiced that play. Cade McNamara said that. And then last week, they pull off that dipsy doodle play that they did, and they did it against Maryland. I'm saying, why the hell not save those plays for this Saturday? Do you expect anything different, anything out of the ordinary in this game? Do you expect to see all three running backs in the game, Corum, Haskins, and Edwards? Do you see something like that?
Well, I think it was not a bad thing, Tom. I think it gives Ohio State a lot of things to think about. They do have options, and I think you need to get plays like that game tested too. I mean, you can get the reps in practice, and it works, but you're in, and it was Maryland, so it wasn't an enormous challenge in terms of an opponent. But in terms of wrinkles, yeah, I think so, and I think that I'm thinking more on the defensive side. I think Mike McDonald. He's got a lot of disguises for this defense. They've changed. They've really responded to the problems they had at Michigan State, and they've really come a long way since then. It doesn't seem that long ago. It really wasn't, 4 weeks ago now. But I think he's a guy that's going to have some wrinkles. And the one thing I keep coming back to, Michigan's special teams have been really, really good this year and very consistent in terms of Jake Moody and Brad Robbins, but in the return game. And I think that could be also a factor on Saturday. in the plus column for Michigan, because not that Ohio State's lacking there. They've got an excellent punter, but I think this is an area. I mean, pardon me, kicker. Their punter has barely been used, right? And I think that's an area where Michigan could, they could get some good field position out of that.
Before we get you out of here, I got to ask you two questions.
And we know you're busy. And
we know you're busy. I appreciate you. I heard about the 1, the 2. We make 3, and you got a 4 o'clock. So I really appreciate you. Two things. One, who has a standout game for the Michigan Wolverines? 1, and then 2, prediction of the score, of course.
Well, I keep going back to I mentioned Andrell Anthony, but I think he's like a guy who could be a difference maker. But Hassan Haskins, Braylon, has just been so consistent. He's been the workhorse. Blake Corum goes out for pretty much the last 3 games, and he's been there. And we've all seen him carrying piles of players with him, and he keeps getting extra yardage. I think he's going to have a big game. I think they need the running game to really click and to win that time of possession and keep Stroud off the field. And the Detroit News did our little TV show on Tuesday, and I didn't know we were doing predictions, and 42-35 came out of my mouth. I don't know why.
Oh, wow.
And that's a little – I don't know. That's
the same thing I said yesterday.
You did.
That's the same exact thing I said. I said 42-30. I said 42-34.
Wow. So then we are right, Braylon.
Great minds.
That's it.
I think my breakout player is going to be Dax Hill, just from the standpoint, like, he's a guy that can slip into the first round. The way I've watched him progress from start to finish this season, and he's going to have to cover those guys. And because they have so many weapons at the wide receiver position, he's not going to match up just on one guy. He's going to be on Olave. He's going to be in Njigba. He's going to be on Wilson. So that's the guy I think that could really come out and have a surprise party on Saturday.
And the other guy, I was thinking too, Braylon. I'm sorry, I know Matt wants to talk, but I thought before the season, someone had said, "Who do you think is going to lead the team in interceptions?" And I thought DJ Turner would have a big season, and he's really come on this last month, and obviously had the pick 6 last week. And I think he's another guy, Dax and DJ Turner. They'll be tested, and I think that those guys are definitely up for it.
Angelique, thanks so much for coming on. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Give Mom a hug for us, please, and save me some spanakopita, please.